Heyo, welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show, coming to you live from Chicago after a White Sox winner. And it is thankfully as well a sunny side Thursday. We're coming to you live on a sunny side Thursday. This is the CHGO White Sox podcast. Head to sunnyside.shop or the nearest Sunnyside cannabis dispensary and use code HICHGO for 35% off your order. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. The White Sox win 1-0. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We will be later joined by our CHGO White Sox beat writer, Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber and read his work up at ALLCITY.com. We're being produced today by Sarah, who's very excited for a White Sox win. I don't know if she's going to say, hey, whatever. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I'm switching. It's a sunny side Thursday, so I'm switching, doing some stuff for us.
It is a sunny side Thursday, so and we're excited about that. Also excited about a White Sox winner. Chris Sale returned, and that's a story that we'll chat about, Herb. But kind of fitting, even though Chris Sale was very, very good today, Michael Kopech gets the chance to close out the Atlanta Braves in this 1-0 win. I think the only more fitting, storyline would just be if the White Sox won 1-0 because of a Yoan Moncada or maybe a Luis Basabe home run. But Moncada's hurt, and I don't know where Basabe is. But how you feeling after this 1-0 win?
It's good. I mean, winning, no matter what, is a better thing than losing. But the problems from the White Sox persist. That is a 1-0 victory where the offense are still doing the offense's thing. I mean, you throw a slider to Luis Robert Jr. and he crushes it, stays fair. That's the game. And I appreciate that they got the one in the left column instead of the right column. They've been getting way too many in the right column this year, but there's still problems that persist. But also, this is the second year in a row where a perennial playoff team like the Braves loses 2 out of 3 to the Chicago White Sox. Just wrap that thing up, man. That thing is done. Come on, Braves. Losing to the White Sox in 2 series in 2 years where they're on record to be one of the worst teams in baseball, man, that's just embarrassing. Like, I mean, why'd you even come to Chicago? Just forfeit the game. Just go from St. Louis right back to Atlanta.
They just played a doubleheader, to be fair, yesterday. It wasn't that long of a flight, but still, hey, it's a flight. And to also be fair, they don't have Spencer Strider or their best player, Ronald Acuna Jr. So being down 2 of your best players, I think is a fair thing. And let me check their record. Oh, yeah, it's still better than the White Sox. So I think they'll take 44 and 34. 10 games above 500 sounds okay to me.
Yeah, but I guarantee the Braves fans are livid today. If whatever station they are, the equivalent of the score or the ATLG, whatever they call their CHGO out there.
I think it's 680 the fan.
Yeah, they're like, oh, my God, we lost to the White Sox. That team is garbage. I don't know why Atlanta fans talk like Chicagoans.
I don't know if I could do a southern drawl. I do my best, but I'm going to stop. Luis Robert Jr. hit the home run, not Yoan Moncada or Luis Alexander Basabe. I am very excited about Luis Robert Jr. He went 2 for 3 today, and I think I was crap talking him at the takeover, and that was wrong of me. I really did do the uneducated thing where I just went off of what my eyes were telling me. And, he was hitting a lot of home runs, but I thought he was still having poor at-bats. I think I mentioned recently that there's been a lot of 0-2 at-bats for Luis Robert Jr. Not only am I going to read you a Pedro Grifol quote that made me excited, which is like the first time ever, I'm going to read you off his stats and just kind of prove to myself that I was wrong. Luis Robert Jr., since returning on June 4th, 85 plate appearances, 63 at-bats, 15 hits. 3 of those have been doubles. 6 of them have been home runs. So 9 of his 15 hits have been extra base hits. He has 2 stolen bases and has not been caught stealing. So whenever he has chosen to run, he has been successful. He's walked 10 times in 85 plate appearances. That's an 11.7 walk rate. That doesn't include the 2 intentional walks as well that he has. I don't know why intentional walks aren't included on a walk rate, but hey, his walk rate would be higher if you did include them. And his 27 strikeouts, it is high, and I think it is higher than his career average, but not by much. 31% is that K percentage, and plus his walk rate's never been this high. So I think you take the 31% K rate compared to last year, where it was at 28.9%, if you're also going to be increasing your walk rate from 5% to nearly 12%. So I would take the 2% increase on your strikeout to take a 7% increase on your walk rate is splits to over that time. A 238 average, a 342 on base percentage, which would have led the White Sox last year, and a 571 slugging percentage. I don't think I've seen any visible signs of his lower body injury still lingering. We've seen some nice plays in the outfield. Again, he hasn't been caught stealing at all. There was just the hit by Eloy, I think yesterday, where he went first to third and looked like he was cruising. It looked effortless again from 88. It looked like 88 out there. And his average bat speed is a new tool from StatCast, and 75 miles per hour is a fast swing, is a hard swing for a Major League Baseball player. His average bat speed is 75 miles per hour. So he is just swinging like when people try as much as his hard, that's just his average. That's just, his B swing, honestly. He could probably get a swing that's up to 80 miles per hour, just like Shohei Ohtani, Giancarlo Stanton, or Aaron Judge can do. This man is worth the moon. And it's glad to be reminded of that. They win 1-0. They haven't had a hit with the runners in scoring position on this homestand yet. Hopefully that against the Rockies. I'll take the 1-0 win. I'll take it coming from Luis Robert Jr. But Herb, I don't think I was really appreciating his greatness, and we need some greatness on this team with their record being 22-61. So I'm thrilled with Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah, and it's not just you. I'm sure everybody looks at Luis Robert and they automatically look at the batting average and like, it's in low twos. That's tough. And then they look at the on base, which is under 3. You're like, oh, God, what is this guy? Is he really anything good? And I guarantee fans from other teams and general managers are looking at Luis Robert, the numbers he's put up this year, and saying, we're going to give up some of our top prospects for that. I don't think so. I don't think that guy is that good. But as you just enlighten the fans, this guy is actually improving. And yeah, while he's not hitting for average, he never really has been. He's hitting the ball hard. And then today, if you're looking for a person that is adjusting to what the pitcher is throwing him, Chris Sale didn't throw him a strike in that second plate appearance, where the home plate umpire, Chris Siegel, called a couple of them strikes. They're off the plate or below the strike zone. And then the last one, I think it was a 1-2 pitch. It was outside. It was I think a fastball or slider outside the zone. And he just serves that ball to right field. If he just does the regular thing where he's just trying to pull most things, he's going to ground that ball out to the shortstop. And that's most of the things that Eloy's been doing this whole year long, where he just pounding the ball into the ground hard, but into the ground all day long. But he's turning himself into a good hitter too. So that's good to see. And if anybody does come to Chris Getz, and looking to acquire 3+ years of Luis Robert's services, they better come correct. And Chris Getz better recognize that he is a superstar and not necessarily the player that has shown up with the numbers that have followed him this year. And that's the thing I just pause against, of Chris Getz thinking that, this guy is no good, or he always gets hurt and he will be lucky to get a nice player for him, instead of, this guy is a guy you build around, and if they want to come and get him, they better come correct.
Well, absolutely. And I kind of lost that for a sec there. I kind of started to play into it a little bit, because he obviously did get hurt hitting a double, to remind you, and rounding first base in Kansas City. And then he came back and he was striking out a little bit more. At least the K percentage was above his career average. And I brought that up 2 days ago. But again, it's a small sample size. He is coming back from a fairly larger injury. And I mean, it just looks like everything's still okay. Like, I don't know. Like, if he doesn't end up trading Robert Jr., I'm not going to be upset, because of the exact thing that you said, is that the price is exorbitant. And we've heard the reports that it's going to be more pricier, or pricier. I don't think I need to add more pricier, because pricier is already the extra on that. But it's going to be pricier than when the Nationals traded Juan Soto. It should be. Again, there's less control for this player. And go watch Juan Soto play right field in Citi Field, and then Keith Hernandez bag him for not being able to make a just average right field play. This is a man that gives you above average center field defense. It's not just the power with him. It's not just the speed with him. It's the defense. It's the I mean, kind of all around developing game. He was doing this a little bit last year as well. And we saw a nice walk rate. I think for one of these like 60 game appearances, his 2020 walk rate was around 8.8%. And he showed some signs there in his rookie year, but I mean, this is a player that's growing. And I think that we could still kind of forget that he was growing even after he had 35 plus doubles and 35 plus homers. I think he was the only player in the AL that did that last year. I think that was a Sox fact on the scoreboard on Monday. So I think there are some times that I even forget how valuable he is because of the control, because of the defense, because of the power. And again, I'm not even 26 yet. He's not going to be 26. We're August 1997 guys. He's about to hit 27. So, I mean, he's going to be in his prime for 3 more years, and you have him for under $20 million. I mean, there's not a better value in baseball. There probably is, but
I mean,
hyperbole.
The guy we saw today at second base is the best value in baseball. Ozzie Albies.
Yeah.
Because the Braves stole 7 years for $35 million. Oh my God. I'm still mad about that deal. I want to go and beat Ozzie Albies' agent's ass.
I mean, go look at the Reynaldo Lopez contract too. 3 years, $30 million. And now he's starting. I mean, that's the steal of all steals right there too.
A sub-2 ERA too. He's probably going to the All-Star game, if not going to be starting the All-Star game. Goodness gracious. And I can't be mad at the White Sox. I mean, they did most of the things they could do with Reynaldo Lopez. And it worked out kind of, but also it was like, it was time for him to go. And I'm glad that he's having success on another team. That's exactly how I'll feel when Eloy Jimenez leaves this team.
I'm very excited that at least Edgar Caro looks very good. I just think too, I mean, you abandoned him in 2019. I think you could have started him a little bit more. But real quick, Brady mentions, before we get into my Carroll rant, because I have one, before we get into the worst 39 game stretch in White Sox history, because they're on it. Let's go to Brady in the chat saying, you should be upset if he gets traded. The Cubs are begging for a star. You don't trade them away. Trust me, Brady, we don't want him to be traded. But what we're saying is, if he does get traded, it should be exorbitant, and it should be resulting in what the Padres are seeing in Mackenzie Gore as a front of the line starter, top 3 starter, CJ Abrams, who is a guy that at worst will end up playing a corner outfield and give you some lefty pop, and the top 2 baseball prospect in baseball. I think because now Skeens has graduated, and James Wood. So I wouldn't be upset if that's the return, but it's just what team can actually give you a proper return for Luis Robert Jr. And I don't think it's any. And also, what GM is going to be crazy enough to actually go out and try to make these deals? I really feel like it's only 2. I only think that DePoto and Preller have the time to waste for this. So it's a limited team market. Maybe you could throw in the Dodgers. What I had yesterday was Philadelphia, Seattle, the Padres, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't think the Dodgers do that. I think the Dodgers would rather supplement the rotation and their pitching and maybe some other places, because they still have Mookie Betts, who they could throw in center field if they want to. Maybe they just go get a shortstop, and that might be cheaper. But the Padres and Seattle have time to waste, and they're always making trades. And then Philadelphia, I mean, Dombrowski might get in that mode, but I don't think the Phillies have enough intriguing prospects to actually acquire Luis Robert Jr. We saw that when our PHLY guy reached out about a Robert trade, and all the fans, like a ton of them, were bagging me because I didn't know his proper value. Like, come on, like let's spread the good news about how good this guy is. It's been great to watch him. There's a Pedro quote I want to get to, and there's more on this discussion, but let's take a break. We want to let you know about our friends over at Cuts. It's Michael Chandler's favorite clothing. So if you are looking to root him on when they ever do the McGregor Chandler fight, go buy some Cuts. CUTSclothing.com. Use code CHGO for 20% off. Get ready to be the most stylish of your crew this summer with Cuts. Most guys would wear a t-shirt every day of their lives if they could. I would do hoodies, but usually it's been 95 degrees in June. So hey, I'll do with a t-shirt at times. The problem is though that most t-shirts are not acceptable to wear at work or on a hot date night. Today's sponsor, Cuts, has finally changed that. Cuts t-shirt are such high quality, wrinkle-free, and buttery soft that you can look like you're dressing up even when you're dressing down. And you heard that right. They're wrinkle-free. So you don't have to worry about traveling with these things. You don't have to worry about knowing how to fold. You don't have to worry about knowing how to iron. Things that I don't know how to do. I can just throw this in my bag. I just use a duffel bag. I don't have a real suitcase. I'm not an adult, but I can look like an adult because of Cuts Clothing, and I appreciate that. So again, head over to cutsclothing.com and use code CHGO for 20% off. And not only have they changed the t-shirt games, their bottom stretch to fit joggers look way better than your khakis and are 1,000% more comfortable, and all of their clothing is as comfortable as athleisure, but is fashionable enough to wear to work or backyard barbecues. So embrace the summer state of mind with Cuts. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off your entire order when you use code CHGO at checkout. That's 20% off your order at cutsclothing.com with promo code CHGO. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Experience the perfect blend of style and comfort with Cuts Clothing. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Mint Mobile. Herb, have you ever heard of Ryan Reynolds?
I have. He's an
That's our guy.
Yeah.
That's our Mint Mobile guy. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by overpriced wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when we heard for a limited time, all Mint Mobile wireless plans are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, we thought, what's the catch? But after personally talking to Ryan Reynolds, our very, 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 very dear friend of ours, it all made sense because there isn't a catch. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they sell wireless service and wireless service only. They don't have retail stores or salespeople. Instead, they deliver premium phone plans directly to you because, hey, maybe you go into one of these certain cell provider stores and you go in and be like, hey, my phone's broken. And they're like, oh yeah, I could go onto a website and put you in a hour-long call wait line and be like, oh, and I could just do that from my house. And then they never call you back. You wait 2 days and then finds out that actually the manufacturer of the phone has the warranty. Don't deal with that. All right. Just buy a phone. Go to Mint Mobile. Get a basic, what you need. The true basic of a wireless plan and pay $15 a month for it. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. It's what you need. It's not going to be superfluous. They're going to go out and just make sure that you get cell serviced. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/White Sox. That's mintmobile.com/White Sox. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/White Sox. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3 months plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabits on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Herb, I think you are going to start doing that read because I butchered it. Let's get into more reading for me. I know people don't love Pedro Grifol, and I don't think that we really seek out what he says much anymore, Herb, but I did seek out what people are saying about Robert, at least what Robert has said. And he's talked about this in spring training, that he wanted to improve his plate discipline, that he was doing that work in the offseason where he was focusing on one zone and that he was only going to hit balls in that zone. And it seems like he has been more selective. Again, we've seen the walk rate go up. But what Pedro said recently on Tuesday, his chase rate is down 10%. He walked a couple times yesterday. His BABIP is in the 220s, which is a little unlucky. We like where he is. We know that he hasn't produced like he can, but we like it as far as controlling the strike zone, getting good pitches to hit. He's a guy that doesn't like a called third strike. There's been some pitches he struck out on that were not strikes. We have to remind him to swing at good pitches regardless, because we know that he can chase and that he's done that before. We're going to try to go the other way. Sometimes it's a little different to go the other way. He's not getting a pitch or two, and that's what's going to happen. That's the human element of the game. The umpire makes mistakes like everybody else, but if he takes a pitch, it's important to be called a ball. If it's called, we have to monitor that too. That's the easy thing for him to do is I'm not going to get called out, but we're happy with where he is. The chase rate reduced 10%. The walk rate has come up to like 11%, 11.7, and he's in a good spot. If he continues to go this way, he's going to have a good couple months. And Herb, this is one good couple months. And if he's healthy in July, August, and September, I think we'll see some good healthy months. I think that that's what I want to see for him to do in a White Sox uniform.
Yeah, just go off. Just be the guy he was last year. If he's healthy, we know that he's going to produce. And the fact that he is actually seeing pitches better this year makes him more deadly at the plate. Like you just said, he's only 26. So he's not in his, what people call the prime of his career, 27 to 31. So he can only get better by experiencing more. And I just want him to be experiencing more on the south side of Chicago, because you don't give away that good of a prospect. I'm seeing these Phillies fans asking for garbage, and they have a garbage prospect system. I don't want the Phillies garbage, and they're balking at us going for their number one and number two. You should be able to throw your number one, number two, because you're at the 23rd or 24th ranked system in Major League Baseball. You can't get great players like Luis Robert for that. I don't want to hear from the Phillies unless they're coming real. I want to hear from the damn Padres. I want to hear from those Mariners. I want to hear from the Baltimore Orioles, which they don't need another outfielder. But if they want to deal with the Luis Robert, they can send a Heston Kjerstad over here. A Mayo.
Yeah. I don't know if the Orioles are going to be in there, but hey, maybe. I mean, I'd give Cedric Mullins is cool. Come on, give Cedric Mullins that runway. Yeah. I mean, plus they got all those damn kids in the minors. I mean, where are they going to play? You got to put one of them in center field. Yeah. Put Holiday in center field.
I mean, Santander is going to be a free agent, so that opens up one spot.
They got the money. Anyways, let's talk about people entering the primes of their careers. Vinnie Duber, are you very, very excited that not only Luis Robert Jr. is entering the prime of his career, but that your co-host, is also entering the prime of his career in August?
The prime of your career? Why are we saying that?
That's what Herb just said. That? He said people that enter 27 to 31 are in the prime of their careers. I mean, 27 is just around the corner.
You're not a professional baseball player, though, unfortunately.
Well, he said people. I didn't know this was limited to baseball. Not bad. Oh, okay.
You got to wait until you're 50.
Oh, okay. All right. Long time for me. All right, Vinnie Duber. Let's talk about Luis Robert Jr., then, the person that is actually entering the prime of his career. Did he speak after today's game? Did anyone speak about how fun it has been to watch Luis Robert Jr. in June?
Yeah, he talked briefly, and Pedro talked briefly and said a lot of the same stuff that he said in the quote that you just read there. But Luis kind of was talking similarly. Like, he doesn't feel like he's all the way back. He doesn't feel like he's kind of hit his stride yet after coming off that long injured list stay, and yet here he is, popping balls out of the ballpark and getting on base as often as he is. So he had he mentioned kind of some of the things that Pedro has mentioned about maybe some of the strikes that have been called on him not being strikes actually, but and that being kind of I don't know if challenge is the right word, but certainly a factor in how he is approaching life at the plate right now. But he doesn't think he's all the way there with the offense, but here he is driving in 100% of the runs that were scored in today's ball game. And I think the home run numbers are probably been pretty good since he's come back, probably some of the best of his numbers, which there are a lot of good ones. But listen, he's Luis Robert Jr., right? We watched him do this all year long last year at a very, very successful clip. We know what he's capable of. Baseball knows what he's capable of. And if there is going to be a trade, whether it is this summer or this winter or whenever, involving the White Sox best player, the baseball world at large knows what they're going to have to give up to get him, because he can be the best player in baseball if he puts it all together, all of it, including the health, that is, for a full season, and does what he was talking about in the preseason, which is be even better than he was last year.
You know what? I know Luis Robert provided all the offense the White Sox needed today, but I thought the play of the game was Michael Kopech going against Travis d'Arnaud. After the error by Paul DeJong there, of course, everybody's like, here we go. This is going to be a 2-run home run by d'Arnaud. But Michael Kopech overcame that and got the job done. Did Pedro speak about his favorite thing, a 1-run game, and how Michael Kopech came through?
He was happy that it was I think he called it an old-fashioned 1-0 baseball game kind of thing. So yeah, pitcher duel kind of, right? Yeah, I mean, he didn't talk about Kopech specifically, but obviously the bullpen did really well today. The one play that Pedro highlighted was Tommy Pham's catch in right field on the Ozuna line drive. I mean, that ball was hit really, really well. Excuse me, with a couple people on base during that 8th inning when John Brebbia was pitching. In a 1-run game, they're all game savers, aren't they? So certainly, though, that was a nice defensive play, and a few feet to either direction by Marcell Ozuna, and we could be talking about a 2-1 Braves win instead of a 1-0 White Sox win, because it was that margin of error was very small. So But yeah, the pitching was good today on both sides. I mean, Chris Sale was fantastic, but the White Sox weren't exactly matching him in terms of marquee star power. But Chad Kuhl, 3 hitless innings. Jared Schuster had 3 scoreless innings. It was a really good job by the White Sox bullpen, which I don't know if anybody would have expected. But let's remember too, not playing any sort of blame game or anything like that. But these Braves played a doubleheader yesterday, flew into Chicago today, and I believe they're flying home tonight. So probably gassed at the end of a busy stretch for the Atlanta team.
That's what I brought up, but the man in the middle said they should be ashamed. So I don't know.
Hey, it was a Jared Schuster revenge game, as we all noted this game to be.
Yes, it was, and it's not what we expected from the bullpen from just what we've seen of recent. But I think at least it's good to note that John Brebbia at least looks healthy. He's dealt with that calf strain, right? I think it's several times already. It seems like he's just settling in, which maybe be more of his issues, which is good for the trade market for sure. But let's talk about the more important pitcher here, and it's the guy who I was bugging you about earlier. We've basically already done an entire segment in our text conversation today, Vinny.
Do you just want to read it? Do you want a dramatic reading? Should we just?
Yeah, sure. I could be me. You could be you, or we could flip it. You could see if you can enter the mind of me. But Kopech, he's a closer. Let's make that very clear. He was moved to the bullpen.
He's the closer.
It seems very clear that he is the, in all caps, THE closer, and it seems like that is limited to a 1-inning role. He hasn't pitched in more than 1 inning since May 9th, and he's now made 33 appearances. He's pitched in pretty much 33 1/3 innings. I don't know if that reason to limit his amount of innings is due to maybe a Josh Hader situation where Hader went to arbitration and was doing all of these multi-inning appearances and was like, hey, look at all my numbers. And they were like, well, you don't have saves, so we're going to underpay you. I don't know if that is maybe the idea for Kopech of, I had my entire career changed because of this. You don't think that I could be a starter. I think that I could be. You're moving me into the bullpen. I need to make this as valuable as possible for myself. I need to be in 1-inning roles. Or is it just been the inconsistency of Kopech himself? Because we have seen a very shaky Michael Kopech. We've seen him throw 33 plus pitches in an appearance. So is it more because of Kopech's performance? Is it more because of maybe an idea of what his role is? Is it a blend of all of it? Because that's what life is made of, is black and white and everything in between.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of all of the above. I think the main thing is just he's the closer, and they want to use him to close out games. And, if this team was markedly better, and I don't mean even good, I just mean better than on pace to be the worst one ever, then you would see him used more regularly because there would be more save chances, right? Or there would at least be more late leads or, that he could protect or close games late, which he could protect. Obviously, the White Sox have played a lot of close games, and so there have been moments when he's gone out there in non-save situations and it hasn't struck as ridiculous. But he's the closer, and they want to use him as such. I think it comes down to something as easy as, oh, well, they're going to throw him in there for 2 innings today, not in today's game specifically, but just today, right? Because he's capable of doing it. And then what if they need him tomorrow? And he's unavailable because he went 2 innings today. You even heard Pedro talking at the beginning of the season where in an ideal world, he would go, win him a game or close out a game for him 2-3 days in a row. And I think that he probably has the capacity to do that. But if you are, let's say, liberal in using him for more than 1 inning at a time, you're going to ding the availability that you have in order to do that. Now, the response is an obvious one, right? It's the White Sox aren't very good. They're not winning many games. Why would they need to hold on to their closer for any specific or for any win situation that might come their way? And the thought is just that just because we know what the likelihood of a win is based on their 3 months of baseball at this point, they're playing to win the game every night. And so what gives them the best way to do that is to have their 9th inning guy available every single night as much as possible, right? So, it's different conversations. The why haven't we seen Kopech more in multi-inning outings is a different conversation than what is the best for his value moving forward, either as a trade chip or as a free agent when he eventually reaches that. I think the bottom line is just that they think he can be a very successful closer in this game, a very dominant style closer in this game if he puts it all together. And they're going to use him as such because that's the role that they've identified for him, right? He ain't a starter anymore. And though he probably would like, if it were all up to him, he probably would still be starting. But they made the move. They made the move to him being a closer, and they want to use him as such. Listen, I think that at the trade deadline, he's a guy that could definitely go. And whether that is a team acquiring him to be a closer, which is probably unlikely because if you're a good contending team, you probably already have a closer, or just a 7th or 8th inning guy, that's still a pretty good get for another team. The question is the value of what the White Sox could get back. He's probably more valuable as a closer, but if nobody's acquiring him to be a closer, then maybe they do want to showcase that he has that ability to throw more than just 3 outs and walk out the door. I mean, we even saw, closers as good as Liam Hendricks and as good as that caliber of 9th inning guy, sometimes have problems with going more than just 1 inning. So to be able to show that he has that tool in the toolbox because of his recent history as a starting pitcher, probably wouldn't be a bad thing in terms of his value, but in terms of trying to get something for a closer specifically, you want him to be that 9th inning guy.
And early in the week, Drew Thorpe was scheduled to start this game that just happened today. They pushed him back till tomorrow to give him and subsequently everybody else in the starting rotation an extra day. Now, the success of today, did Pedro speak about the success of today and how they did a bullpen game and shut down the Braves for 1-0? Is that going to instruct them moving forward about, hey, maybe we do a 6-man rotation with a bullpen day in between, or if they have a specific person in mind? Because late word last night, I think you tweeted out that they're having some troubles with Mike Clevenger's neck, or he's having some trouble with his neck. So there's no real plan for him to return to the major league team as of yet.
Sure. So I think, a few things in there. The bullpen day is kind of an, I don't want to use the word emergency, but it's not something that you want to have happen, right? If everything goes correctly, you've got your 5 guys that go every 5 days and things are terrific, right? But they are in a position where they've got 3 current members of their rotation who are either playing Major League Baseball for the first time or starting in Major League Baseball for the first time this season, that being Garrett Crochet, right? Guys that they are happy to get as much rest as they can when the opportunity presents itself. And here is an opportunity presenting itself. So the bullpen game obviously worked out for him, and that, bully for them, I suppose. But I don't think that it is a strategy thing in terms of now they're going to be doing this on a regular basis. It's just a way to get the rest that they want for those younger pitchers. Now we got Mike Clevenger. Mike Clevenger has some neck stiffness. His rehab assignment was ended after 2 starts down at Charlotte. He will take basically a 1-start break and come back to the White Sox, the big league team, get some treatment on that neck, and then he is expected to restart that rehab assignment in the middle of next week. I think Tuesday or Wednesday is kind of the target day for that. So it doesn't seem like it's something that's that big of a deal, but it's maybe something that's preventing him from finishing off what they need him to do in order to return to the major league team. Once he goes back to Charlotte, it's possible that he only needs 1 start. That's what Pedro Grifol said today. But we'll see, and the White Sox will see what he looks like in that start and how he's feeling at the time. He's going to throw like 70 or 80 pitches, I think, the next time he pitches for Charlotte. And then they will determine after that game whether he needs another one or whether he can come back to the big league team. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the starting rotation once he's back. But Pedro said the other day that a 6-man rotation is a possibility. You would have to imagine, at least in this is just my opinion, that if they weren't trying to trade some of these guys, maybe it wouldn't be that way. Maybe they try to, if you're trying to get something for, be it a marquee name like Crochet, or even just hey, can we get a prospect for Clevenger, for example, or Chris Flexen, maybe they do it a different way, but this is a possibility for when Clevenger returns because, and listen to it, again, as I always say, right, these things can kind of figure themselves out sometimes. We saw them already Call up Nick Nastrini, send him down. Call up Nick Nastrini, send him down. Is Drew Thorpe or Jonathan Cannon going to end up having a similar fate? We've seen that they are not shy about shuffling guys who could be part of the future here back and forth between the big leagues and Charlotte. Again, whether that changes after the trade deadline also remains to be seen. But maybe Mike Clevenger comes back and we're talking about a tough stretch for Jonathan Cannon or a tough stretch for Drew Thorpe where they need to go down and work on some stuff. Or maybe 6-man rotation is the possibility, but I don't think we're going to know that until we actually get to a point where we know when Mike Clevenger is going to rejoin the big league team.
Vinny, I don't know if you know this, and we have to break, so I'm going to ask anyways. Would I be wrong to think that Clevenger's neck issue might not be a neck issue? It could be the lingering elbow issue, but he couldn't have more time to rehab that specific injury, so they would have to use a different injury to extend that rehab time. Is that too conspiracy brain to me there?
Yes, is the answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Listen, he has a stiff neck. That's what we've heard from the White Sox. Now, again, you can experience multiple injuries while you're out of rehab assignment or while you're rehabbing. So, there is some timing element to that. There's a number of days that a rehab assignment can last, that kind of thing. So, there's logistical things in there that, maybe, but I don't think I don't think there's any reason to think that there's some sort of fake injury occurring or anything like that.
Well, I don't know if it's a fake injury, but when he was like, there's fluid in my elbow, I'm like, all right, well, buddy, we're not going to see you in a White Sox uniform. And now that he's here having another injury in Charlotte, I just go to think, oh, well, my first thought of, hey, buddy, you're not pitching for the White Sox again is going to come true. So I guess that's where it's coming from. It is absolutely a conspiracy theory. It is just me throwing out something in the ether because I think that was the case for rehab assignments. If they're saying it's the neck, they're saying it's the neck. I just don't want to see Clevenger in a White Sox uniform. And hey, we're seeing that right now. So our prayers were answered. Herb, tell people about how their prayers could also be answered by Leinenkugel delivering beer to their door.
When the weather gets warm, just any beer won't do. You want something light, refreshing, and flavorful. Leinenkugel has flavor for every summer moment. It's the perfect companion for the great outdoors, the great American pastime, or a great night out with friends. Whenever I go to the ballpark, I'm having myself a summer shandy in my hand because it's in the name, summer. And also it's delicious. I mean, what better beer is there than having a natural lemonade flavor like summer shandy? Well, if you like those type of beers, they also have Lakeside Cherry with real cherry juice, or grapefruit shandy with natural white grapefruit flavor, or honey lemon light with 99 calories and a sweet finish, plus classic crowd-pleasing brews like Leinenkugel's Light or Lining's Original. Flavor every summer moment with Leinenkugel's, the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Leining.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. It's LEINIE.com/CHGO. Or pick up Leinenkugel's pretty much anywhere that they sell beer. Leinenkugel's, flavor the moment. Celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes, and if you have a grill and you're not grilling on it, I want to call you a name that I shouldn't use in an Illinois pork farmer sponsored ad. But if you do have a grill, maybe you should get your pork. People who are active need more protein than the average American. And in fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the Dietitians of Canada, and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes like Herb. So if you are biking like our guy Herb, you need around 135 grams of protein per day. 1 ounce serving of pork provides 23 grams of high-quality protein that can help activate individuals, build and preserve muscle like your guy Herb. So if you want to get as lean and fit and tough as Herb Lawrence, the Lance Armstrong of CHGO, he's not using the e-bike, folks. He's not pulling a Cody Del Mendo. He's not cheating the system. He's putting the leg sweat equity into this, folks, and he's refueling with pork. So go hang out with our friends. Or maybe not our friends. Go hang out with your friends and feed them pork. Elevate your pork game with lean protein, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork or juicy chops hot off the grill, it's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product, paid for by the Illinois pork producers. Generations of commitment. So I did want to go a little bit into the Kopech discussion a little bit more. So I guess going back to that comment, he's been used, and again, he's been used 33 times this year. 6 of those appearances have come with 0 days of rest. 9 of them have come with 1 day of rest. This was his first appearance since June 24th, so this would have been at least 2 days of rest. So this is now his 7th appearance with 2 days of rest. He has 7 days of 3 days of rest, and then the other one's 4, 5, and 6 all at one. So I think that they could push him a little bit more. Mason Miller, who's in his first year and is the top value guy in the closer trade market right now of the A's, he has 5.5 years of control. He's pitched 35 and 2/3 innings. He's got a 2.02 ERA. Kopech just reached 33 1/3. And I do feel like there's just a little bit more that they're pushing there. And I understand that he has this role, but I don't understand this role for a 22-61 team. And that's my issue, is that when you're just coming off an 80 or 8-31 stretch in that 39 game stretch, you're not going to have the proper opportunities when you're winning 8 games to use Michael Kopech. And I feel like there could just be a little bit more value extracted because what if the A's don't want to trade Mason Miller, right? Kopech's value immediately goes up because it's a limited market now. But also if he is traded, or if a team is trying to decide between Miller or Kopech, giving or showing these teams what else he's capable of, I think would be smart. And even if it is the opportunity to protect a lead for 2 innings, right? If Brebbia comes in the 7th and you see Kopech for the 8th and 9th, I think it would just be, I think it would be the best for the White Sox if they're looking to gain value. I could be off on this. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I don't even know if you feel like his value's gone with less innings, because there are times where he looks so unhittable at 99 up in the zone. So is it more about just him locking in as a closer, Herb, in your mind, or do you think they could still extract more value?
I think what Michael Kopech has already put on tape is pretty much what people are going to be going off of. And I don't think anything you can do from here until July will change anybody's minds of who they think Michael Kopech is. The numbers have been out there. The video has been out there. Whoever a team thinks that he is pretty much who they're going to be trading for, or negotiating to be trading for. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, Mason Miller is the top guy, but if he's not available, which I don't think if I was the A's, I wouldn't trade a guy with 5.5 years of service time available. He still can be traded next year. But if Kopech is the guy that people are looking for, they're going to be trading for that guy who they already know. It's already a known commodity. And I don't want to expose him, if I was the White Sox, to more actual chances to be that enigma that he is, where he's wild sometimes. Or today, he throws 16 pitches, 10 of them in the strike zone, fills up the strike zone, and makes the Braves look kind of silly out there. So I don't know if putting him out for more innings or different roles suits him better or the White Sox better in this trade deadline, because I think that his value won't change either way. And so, or it could change the worst way, where teams are like, I don't want that guy because he is not consistent and we can't use him on our team because he's inconsistent in the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, Herb's right. I think, these teams have done their homework, right? And they know what they'd be getting in Michael Kopech, not just by looking at the stat sheet or looking at the outcomes, but by looking at the player and seeing that many times dominant pitcher, and a guy who could be a very effective late inning weapon for them. I get what you're saying, Sean, but I definitely think that the baseball bosses across the game know what they would do with Michael Kopech. They know how they value Michael Kopech. And I don't think like throwing him out there, in a few more games as like a showcase thing is going to change much, because it's not like he hasn't pitched. It's not like he's this mystery commodity. And on top of it, it's not really how the guys, I should say, who run the team on a daily basis operate. Again, we can sit here and say, listen, we know what the team's record is. We know they only have 22 wins here as we're approaching the 4th of July. This is not a team that's winning on a very regular basis or putting themselves in a position to get a save situation on a regular basis. But it's ridiculous to think that Pedro, for one, is going to deploy his pitching staff based on what might or might not affect trade value. he is still trying to win a baseball game every single day, and he is going to manage the team in the way that he feels will accomplish that goal. Michael Kopech is somebody who probably does have that multi-inning ability in him, but I think if we know that, then the 29 folks who run other baseball teams know that too. And I think that is something that could make him more valuable. A guy who could be that kind of Andrew Miller type, if we want to flash back to, God, that's a reference that's probably not, it doesn't even make any sense to most, say, young people these days. But well, how long ago was that? That was like when the Cubs won the World Series. Andrew Miller was on
2016.
Cleveland, right?
Yeah, not that long.
So there you go, that guy. Man, that's getting to be a while ago now, though. But yeah, that Andrew Miller type who can come in and throw the 7th and the 8th inning and be a dominant reliever who isn't that closer guy. That's the kind of thing that a team needs in the postseason. Can Michael Kopech do that? He's probably got the physical ability to do it. It's whether or not the results would be what you would want to get. And so I think that teams are going to be looking at what's happened so far, the video that they can watch of this guy, and the talent that he has, and making their value judgments that way. I do think he's a guy that could very well be moved before the end of July.
I think he absolutely will be moved by the end of July. I guess it's just making sure that you get the most value out of him. I did put together a trade power ranking of the guys that, in vain to what Vinnie posted at ALLCITY on Monday, basically just ripping you off, Vinnie. So this is why I'm going to be at the prime of my career, because I'm just stealing my coworkers' ideas. But the trade power ranking, obviously number 1, Luis Robert Jr. The home run today did not affect that. He was always number 1. Number 2, Garrett Crochet. 3, Fetty. And Fetty might be the only one that they end up trading out of the top 3. I think if you trade Crochet and Fetty, especially with the amount of pitchers that you do have coming up in the minor leagues, I think it's probably worth it. 4, Pham. 5, Kopech. Do you guys have any pushback on that? Who is more valuable, Pham or Kopech? I don't think that right now Kopech would be the first sure closer on all of these playoff teams. I mean, looking through at least the Reds, Giants, Diamondbacks, Rays, Twins, Orioles, and Red Sox, I mean, those teams are even on the fringe of buying, and I mean, their closers are better than Kopech.
That's fine, but even a reliever with another year of control is more valuable than getting Tommy Pham for 2 months. I mean, I think and then on top of it too, it's not like Tommy Pham has continued what he was doing when he first joined the team, when he was hitting over 300, that kind of thing. He is just kind of fine, now, and who knows if he's even going to be acquired by a team to be a starting outfielder for them. Maybe he's being acquired just to be a bench bat kind of thing. The White Sox got Tommy Pham to trade him for anything. Michael Kopech is a guy who still has the potential and still has some control to do something for somebody for a much longer period of time.
And I know it's picking nits. I would actually have, even though he made the air in the 9th, DeYoung over Tommy Pham.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think Pham is a guy who you can't discount last year, and you can't, what he was able to do for the Diamondbacks in the playoffs, and you can't discount the fact that he's just got kind of a big track record of somebody who baseball knows, and the game can go, yeah, we want you to do that Tommy Pham thing, right? Whereas Paul DeYoung is kind of having a renaissance, at least in the power department, but that hasn't been there for a while. And so now it's, can he be a bench bat? I think, though, that what you would be acquiring Paul DeYoung to do, which is hit you home runs, is a little bit more valuable than, say, Tommy Pham come and be a guy, on our team kind of thing. So, yeah, I would agree with you, Herb.
So you would go, so Robert Crochet, Fetty, Kopech, Pham DeYoung? Or DeYoung
probably,
Pham?
Yeah. DeYoung.
Even with the air?
Yes, even with the air.
All right.
He's got a lot of errors.
Oof.
I'd rank Pham 5, DeYoung 6, but they're pretty much the same player, pretty much at the same value. 7, I think a guy that's kind of a little bit sneaky in value is Chris Flexen. It's just mainly because he's cheap. I mean, you just saw the Brewers trade for Dallas Keuchel, of all people. Like, you don't think the Brewers would trade for Chris Flexen right now? You don't think that the Guardians, with how they've been playing and how much they don't spend, wouldn't love a starting pitcher for $1.5 million? Like, I do think that Flexen is either going to be traded within the division to KC, Minnesota, or to Cleveland. or to Pittsburgh or Milwaukee. I think it's very clear that he has a market, and it's a very specific market. Broke teams who need pitching. So I think that he has a decent amount of value, and for how little he is, I think you could probably get more prospects than Brebbia, who's making $4 million more dollars and is in a more limited role. He has looked better, to be fair. I don't know if you guys have any strong flexing over Brebbia
I mean,
feelings.
I think Brebbia is the kind of guy who gets traded every summer, right? A good reliever who, you know, it may not be great, but a good reliever who is a veteran who can be picked up for next to nothing. I think that he is the kind of player who all teams go out and get, and if he stays good long enough to be on a playoff roster, then that's great. But if he doesn't, it's just one of several relievers probably that a team is acquiring. Your flexing point makes plenty of sense because, boy, Dallas Keuchel wasn't very good yesterday, was he, for the Milwaukee Brewers? Didn't he give up 4 runs and 8 hits or something, and it wasn't very good. So, Chris Flexen has had much better days than that. You would think that maybe they could find a taker, especially if the price is not too high, right? I mean, why not throw just some prospect the White Sox way for a guy who can eat you some innings?
Yeah, I feel the same exact way. I'm almost done adding up all of Michael Kopech's numbers. Okay, so Michael Kopech, when used as a reliever in more than 1 1/3 innings, 40 innings pitched, 22 hits, 16 walks, 5 homers, and 62 strikeouts. So, I mean, he has been fairly effective, earned runs in that span. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So about 10 earned runs in 40 innings. I mean, it's kind of, he's in a way better in that role, but again, we've also just seen him have the inability as a pitcher to just get out of a single inning as well. So I don't know. He's just so variable. All right. Final thing that I wanted to bring up, we can preview Colorado. You got Drew Thorpe pitching on Friday, Cannon pitching on Saturday, Crochet on Sunday. We'll be with you for the post game on Sunday for that. Dakota Hudson throwing on Friday for the Rockies, Cal Quantrill throwing on Saturday for the Rockies, and Kyle Freeland for the Rockies on Sunday. I don't know if you guys are super excited for the Rockies series.
No, not at all. I mean,
thank you for the honesty.
Slightly better than the White Sox, and Cal Quantrill will be one of the top pitchers out there for these teams to trade for. He's actually had a renaissance here. So I'm looking forward to that, to see how he's progressed from his Cleveland days. But other than that, you know, Chris Bryant is still hurt. They still have Charlie Blackmon on the team for some reason. You know, it's the same old Rockies. I'm
very excited to see Vinny Castilla and Dante Bichette and, you know, all those guys.
The Big Cat.
The Blake Street Bombers. Oh, yeah, Big Cat, Andres Galarraga. How can I forget? The Blake Street Bombers are going to come in here. No, I'm not even going to be here tomorrow. We got Jared Willis on the scene tomorrow. I'll be here on Saturday and Sunday for the day games. But, yeah, Herb's right. This is a matchup of cellar dwellers between the Sox and the Rocks. I guess that's fun. I'll get to say Sox Rocks a bunch.
Sox and Rocks.
And, hey, you know, purple. I like seeing the purple unis, so that's about it.
There you go. Just to finish out, Luke was asking about Steven Wilson in the chat. So the full trade power rankings now: 1 Robert, 2 Crochet, 3 Fetty, 4 Kopech, 5 DeYoung, 6 Pham, 7 will be Chris Flexen, 8 will be Brebbia, 9 will be Clevenger, 10 is a mix between Tanner Banks and Steven Wilson if you want them, and then I put 11 as Eloy Jimenez because maybe, just maybe, there's a way. But you've
got Banks and Wilson below Clevenger.
This was made yesterday before the fake injury was announced.
Because you're just talking about value, not most likely to go, right? Because you had Robert number 1, right? So, yeah. I mean, Banks, a team would much rather have effective relief arms in Banks and Wilson than they would someone who has yet to pitch 5 innings, a starter who's yet to pitch 5 innings this season.
Well, one thing, that's fair. Hey, I'm all for it. I'll move my Clevenger down, twist my arm. But one thing that I don't think that the nerds have been able to do, and I would love if the nerds could do that, I wonder how much a true inning is worth to a team. How much is it for you to go and pitch 5 innings in a game, and how much better is that to have a guy just pitch 1 inning of a game, right? Like, well, you know, I wonder how much like an inning is worth.
I totally get what you're saying in terms of overall comparison. Yeah, fine. But I mean, if you're a starting pitcher and you need to go 5, like you can't not go 5, and he has yet to go 5. So. That
and
to me
got a bunch of fluid in his elbow.
Right. That to all that added up would tend to lead me to believe that there's not going to be much in the way of interest.
That's
I think
fair.
it would have to be weighted also, Sean. Like if you're going against like Tanner did yesterday, Ohtani and then Teoscar and Friedman, a little tougher than going against Kike Hernandez, et cetera. So yeah, inning and whatever Tanner Banks usually does, I think it's usually effective. So yeah, I think teams will definitely be snooping around to get Tanner Banks' services.
Who wouldn't want a good old Utahian with a mustache, right? That's why we're so happy to have.
I heard he's good personality too, right? Likes to hike.
Seems affable. Hey, maybe that's a new video series if he doesn't get traded. Vinny and Tanner Banks hike. All right. Final comment.
There's going to be a lot of driving. It's going to be Vinny and Tanner Banks driving to a hike first.
Perfect. All right. Final things I wanted to say. This game ended the worst 39 game stretch in White Sox history. They were 8-31 coming into this game. If they lost it, they would be 7-32 in their last 39 games. Hey, didn't we mention that this might be the worst 39 game stretch in White Sox history? It pretty much was. They tied it. From 5-15 to 6-28, the White Sox were 8-31. From 7-16 to 1930, in 1932, from July 16th to August 27th, in 1932, the White Sox were 8-31. So tying a massively old franchise record when none of us were around. So very good baseball being played for the White Sox on the South Side. Two of Martin Maldonado's at-bats commentary included John Triffin and Steve Stone commenting on kids eating candy behind the scout seats and not talking about the at-bat, which I thought was smart. The third at-bat, they just started talking about the 25th anniversary of the last Kingdome game, and then Steve Stone brought up that it's also the 20th anniversary for David Kaplan's wedding. So congrats to Cap there. Why talk about Martin Maldonado batting? Because there's not actually anything to talk about. And then finally, the one thing that bugged me, and then we'll get you out of here. You are the White Sox broadcasters. This is a White Sox player. He has been a part of the organization for nearly a year. He has flown up the prospect rankings after how good he's played. And you are talking about how good this player is playing. So do not mispronounce his name. Do the minimum legwork of typing in Edgar Caro into your Google search bar and go to Baseball Reference, and it says Caro. It's not Cawero, okay? I don't understand this inability to pronounce somebody's name in your organization. It's disrespectful, and it's stupid, and it's lazy. So both Steve Stone and John Triffin are at fault for this, and I don't know about the producer situation over there, but it's also on the producers as well. Hello, this also happened before. I remember tweeting about it before, and it wasn't corrected. So let's learn how to say the players' names. I'm befuddled and want to swear. So just do the respectful thing and learn how to say their names. It's available. You're the White Sox. You can say, hey, we're going to talk about Edgar Caro today. How do you say Caro's last name? So there's that. Anyways, that's going to do it. White Sox win 1-0. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He'll be at the park on Saturday and Sunday. You can read his work at allchgo.com. And as he mentioned on Friday, Jared Willis will be at the ballpark. You can follow Jared at JWillis on Twitter. Y's instead of I's there. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. And the White Sox won. So, hey, go celebrate. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back on Sunday for the post-game show after Garrett Crochet faces the Rockies. We'll talk to you then. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.